Today in Honey Neats Made This, I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do a Ross Geller and pivot. Let's make this. I've been doing Honey Neats now for over a year and I've loved it. I've loved being able to teach people how to use their Cricut because when I started using my Cricut, I had no idea and the only way I could learn was going onto YouTube. I love the fact that I have got some people who are happy to see an Australian voice out there that are trying to help people learn how to use their Cricuts, because there's so many amazing American Cricut users out there that are trying to teach us things, but we can't find or any of the materials or any of the resources that you're using because they're not over here. So I've really enjoyed doing that and I wanted to continue to do that. But I also am starting to think, well, maybe I can start doing something with the skills I've learned while teaching you. So in the end of 2025, I'm going to go to 3 different markets. We've got fantastic markets down here called the Tasmanian made markets, and they're held about 6 to 8 times a year. And on a whim, I looked and I saw that there were still some applications open for the last 3 of the year, one in October, one in November, one in December. Now, I applied for these markets thinking that there's probably a chance that I won't get accepted. I have tried Etsy and I've really enjoyed playing around with Etsy because it's taught me a lot. So I've been selling a whole heap of different things on Etsy and it has evolved over the last 2 years. And my biggest seller have been these. These are stickers for Gen Alpha. Now, I made these because one YouTube clip that I was watching was telling me that you should follow a trend. Try that. See if your shop isn't working, jump on a trend and see if you can create something that is in your design but fits the trend. And I was seeing on TikTok and on Instagram and listening to students at school saying words like mid, prime, slay. And I thought, oh, all right, let's jump on this trend and let's see if one of these things work. So I made my stickers and it has been the biggest seller on my Etsy store. Look, in a year, I've sold 60 sets of them. So I sell them in sets of 5 or 10. Might not sound like a lot, but for someone who was just playing around, it's been heaps. And Christmas time in particular has gone off. But most of my sales are to America, which is great and I love it. But I've got to post them all to America, and they take 20 days and all of this kind of stuff. But I've also got a whole heap of other things on my Etsy store that I think are great and they actually suit me and they suit my personality. Instead of these stickers, which are for Gen Alpha, I'm not a parent, I'm just a high school teacher. But I love cooking, so I made a whole heap of cooking stickers. And these stickers haven't sold a single one. I've made cooking and gardening bookmarks, magnetic bookmarks, and I love them and I think everyone should have one, but no one wants to buy them on Etsy. And I've also made planner stickers, both for cooking and gardening. Now you might wonder why cooking and gardening? Well, they are my 2 other passions. I love cooking and I love gardening. So I thought if I need to aim my products at someone, it should be at someone like me. So I thought that's what I should do. So I've designed these things and I think that they're really well designed, but no one's going to buy them. After my Etsy store hasn't been going so well, there is an Australian kind of Etsy online marketplace called madeit.com.au. And I applied to them. And after a few weeks, I got a reply and it's a very generic reply. They just say, you haven't been accepted. Click on this link. These are some of the reasons why we don't accept particular vendors. So you go through the whole thing and you read all of the information and there's things like you don't sell products that will sell on our store, on our website. Your products aren't handmade enough. Your products are not commercially viable. Your products don't fit our aesthetic. Now the aesthetic is all of the monochrome, beige, orange, browns. Now let's look at my stickers. I am not beige, I'm not brown, I'm barely white. So I think maybe that was the reason. But again, they don't give you feedback specifically to you, you've just got to have a guess. So I've gone, oh well, that's not working. So when I saw that the Tasmanian made markets had some applications open, I thought I'm going to have a go. And this will kind of be the last thing that I do, because if the Tasmanian made markets don't want me, then maybe no one else actually is interested in my product. So I applied for 3. Now the cost, if you're accepted, is between about $250 and $300 for a small table. So I only sell small things, so I thought I'll just get a small table. Also, I'm not sure if I'm going to like being a market person. I didn't want to go and get this massive market stall and then have to get all of the big tables and all of the products if I then sit there for 2 days and go, this is the most boring thing I've ever done and I can't continue to do this. So I applied for the 3. There's one in Hobart at the casino in October. There's one in Launceston at the Silver Dome in November, which is a Christmas market. And there is one in Hobart on Constitution Dock, which is also a Christmas one in December. And I thought, well, no one wants to buy my stuff on Etsy. I'm not allowed to go onto the madeit.com online marketplace. I don't think Tasmania is going to accept me for all 3, maybe one. And then I got my email back and it said, you've been accepted for all 3. And so I just jumped in, 2 feet, 2 hands, whole body, and said, okay, I'm going to do all 3. So I've booked 3 tables at the Tasmanian made markets, and it's kind of scary because I'm not really sure what it is how I'm going to go with it. And I'm not really one to like to do things that maybe I'm not going to be good at. But here's a go, having a chance. As you get older, you are a little bit more open to having a go and maybe failing and going, all right, well, I tried that. So that's what I am going to do. And I thought it might be really nice if you guys came along with me, because for the same reason that I started my YouTube channel, where I was teaching people to use their Cricut from an Australian perspective, market YouTube vlogs are the same. There's not many people out there that are vlogging their market life. And if you are someone who's wanting to get into that, there's not a lot to see. And there's a couple that I follow, one lady that's in Victoria, one lady that's in Perth, that I'll link below, that I really enjoy watching. But apart from that, it's really hard to find people who are in Australia and who are going through that market process. The American YouTubers, they've got some great information and they've got a lot of the basic kind of things sorted, but there's also things that I think are specifically niche to Australian markets, things like sales tax and when the things that they're allowed to take into the markets and what they're not allowed to take into markets and all of those things. And I thought, well, maybe it'd be really nice to see what it looks like from an Australian perspective as well. So I'm going to take you guys along. I'm going to, every second week, I'm going to give you an update on how my product creation is going, the different bits and pieces I've been doing to get myself prepared for the market, and then maybe I'll take you to the market as well and we can see how it goes. On my other weeks, I'm going to continue to create Cricut tutorials. So those things will still continue, but I'm going to kind of split my time between the two and we'll see what happens. And by Christmas, we're either going to sink or we're going to float. So come along this journey with me. To start my process, I decided to create a Canva document that is kind of like a binder of all of the bits and pieces I need to remember, any designs that I'm doing, any brainstorming that I might be doing, as well as, taking images from online to help me get some inspiration for things like my booth and props that I might need and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm creating an A4 landscape document in Canva, and then the first thing I'm going to do is actually add a calendar to it, just so that I can see what my months are going to be, because I've only got really 2 months before I've got my first market, and then the next 4 months are going to be all about this market prep and actually going to the markets. So I've chosen a design in the template section. So I chose a calendar and I typed in calendar 2025 so that the dates all came with it. So I didn't have to manually go in there and change dates and add things. And I found this really cute one that is plant-based. It's got a plant kind of theme to it. And I thought I can just turn this into something that suits my market. So I'm doing cooking and gardening based products. So I'm just changing those plants to different cooking and different gardening images. Now, I've gone with kawaii themed images only because they are brighter than the ones that I was finding when I first on the actual calendar. So I've just chosen them. It's not really my true style, but it's really good for bright and popping imagery. I've changed the text as well to one of the fonts that are in my brand kit. So that one's called XO Glow. So I've changed the branding of that. I've changed the colors of text. I've changed the colors of the little swatches that go behind each of the names of the days of the week. And then I start adding my different dates. So I've added when each of the markets are on. I've put that in a different color so that stands out. And then I've also added my different dates for the different YouTube clips that I'm going to be doing. So every second week, I'll be doing a market vlog. So I'm putting those in first, and they drop on Sundays. So every Sunday, 7 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time, I think it's called, they will drop. And then every other week, I will do a tutorial. So my first one, and the one I'm going to be doing next week, is using magnetic sheeting to create personalized magnets. So I've started putting all of those things into this calendar. And then as I'm going through, I'm going to start adding new pages. But there'll be things that I will refer back to over the next few months. And you can see how I'm filling up this online or electronic calendar essentially, so that it works for me and I can see when things are happening, and you can see it's already starting to really fill up and there's a lot happening. But, you know, I'm going to be screaming into Christmas rather than just very quietly and gently making my way there. I hope you're all as excited as I am to come along this little journey with me. And, you know, I hope that you stick with me and see whether or not we can make this little experiment a success. I'll see you next week for another Cricut tutorial. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget you can always jump on my Instagram, head over to my Etsy store, or even check out the videos YouTube recommends for you down below.